Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and we are in mid-December. So we are in the full swing of the holiday season, but we've got a birding update here for you still. And we'll talk a little bit about the different wrens people are seeing because we've been getting so many people coming in with pictures of a new bird at their feeder. And a lot of the time, and over the past week or two, it's been a Carolina wren. So I thought I'd show you guys some of the different wrens that we do have around here right now as well, at least if you're in the Western New York area. And if not, you might still have the same birds or you might have slightly different ones. As always, we love to know what kind of birds you are seeing, so you can put those in the comments. If you have questions, you can throw those in there too. And or you could just say hello. And if you are still shopping for the holiday season, which I know I definitely am. I am very behind. You can shop on our website at thebirdhouseny.com. If you're local to Monroe County, we do deliver for free, and those deliveries will be going out Thursday is your next delivery day. And we'll be doing deliveries up to December 23rd. So you've still got some time. And of course, we're open 7 days a week, and we do have extended hours. So we're open till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and those hours go through the 23rd. So we've got lots of open time for you guys to shop at your convenience. And even if you're not local, you can still shop on our website, thebirdhouseny.com, and we will mail your package right to you. There's still a little bit of time to get those packages out, but we'll get started. So first of all, if you are going out birding along the lake especially, or along the bay, along any kind of body of water, if you're looking for ducks or possibly even things like snowy owl, of which there haven't been many reports of recently over the past month or so. There's also different types of gulls. We don't talk about gulls all too often, but there are 3 different species that you're likely to see right now. And the 3, and this one right here is a very common species that you're probably likely to see no matter where you are on the East Coast, the ring-billed gull. And ring-billed gulls get their name because they do have that stripe which goes through their bill. So you can see that really easily right here in these pictures. This is our most common gull that we have around here. Super, super common, not only around water, but even around in parking lots and things. Lots of ring-billed gull around. But then there's also the larger, what's called a herring gull. So if you see a gull that looks a little bit larger than that ring-billed gull, it could very well be a herring gull. And if you look at the bill of the herring gull, it doesn't have that stripe that goes through its bill, but it does have a little red dot that you can usually see on the bottom of its bill, a little reddish colored dot. So herring gull are out there. And then there's a pretty large gull out there called the great black-backed gull, which is significantly bigger than both the ring-billed gull and the herring gull. And it has a very dark colored back. So if you look at the herring gull and the ring-billed gull, you'll see that they're very white with a gray back, but that great black-backed gull has a very, very dark back. So that is going to be seen around in the area. That's been seen all along the lake shore here. So other things to look out for if you are by the water, things like bald eagle. If you can find any open, unfrozen bodies of water, keep an eye out for bald eagle. They will be here all winter long. We've been having some pretty cold weather, so a lot of things are frozen over. But if you do find a patch of water unfrozen, definitely will have bald eagle around. And then as far as other birds of prey out there, northern harrier, reports of northern harrier are around in fields. They like to soar low over fields and over marshes as they look for their prey items. The males are gray in color. The females are more brownish in color. But if you look at these 2 pictures here, you'll notice that they both have that white, what's called a rump patch. So both of those are, both male and female will have that white coloration, which is a really good way to identify that you've got yourself a northern harrier. Rough-legged hawk, they will come down here for the winter months. There's been some seen around the Montezuma complex, around that area. And rough-legged hawk get their names because they do have feathers that go down their legs to all the way down to their feet. So they don't have those bare legs that most hawks around here have. But the rough-legged hawk have they can have some different types of coloration, but you'll notice they look quite a bit different than the red-tailed hawk. So they're similar in size to the red-tailed hawk, but their coloration is different. And you can look at these two pictures to kind of compare. The red-tailed hawk will most of the time have a reddish colored tail, although if they're in their juvenile plumage, it's not as obvious. But the red-tailed hawk will have what they sometimes call dark colored armpits here. Right next to their body, they have this dark coloration on their wing. The rough-legged hawk doesn't have that coloration right next to its body on its wing, but it does have a little dark patch further along on its wing. So those are a couple ways to tell the difference. And if you look at the legs of the rough-legged hawk, you can see all those feathers that are on it too. So red-tailed hawks are going to be here all winter long. They're here all year long, but the rough-legged hawk comes down here just for the winter months. And what you're most likely to see in your backyard is going to be things like Cooper's hawk. We just had a Cooper's hawk here at the store this morning chasing birds underneath one of the staff's cars. So they are definitely out and about, and they are known to go after birds at feeders. So if you're seeing a bird of prey in your yard, could very well be a Cooper's hawk. That was my first time ever seeing one hunting like that for some birds underneath somebody's car. So that was pretty interesting, but they are definitely around. And then wrens, we've been getting lots of reports of the Carolina wren, which is this bird right here. They are very vocal, so they sing quite a bit. They'll sing all winter long, and they've been coming to feeders. We've been getting lots of customers coming in with Carolina wrens clinging onto suet feeders, eating from suet. They will eat the sunflower hearts. They'll come to sunflower seed feeders. So it seems like, especially as the weather gets colder and food gets more scarce, the Carolina wren will make an appearance, especially at bird feeders. A way to tell that you have the Carolina wren is, of course, they have that kind of wren posture, if you will. They're kind of a roundish bird with a tail that sticks up in the air. But the Carolina wren is pretty reddish brown. It's almost like a chestnut brown. They have a very buffy colored breast, and they do have that bright white eye stripe, that white eyebrow above their eye. So definitely be on the lookout for Carolina wren. Now, in the breeding season, more in the spring and summer, you might come across the Carolina wren, but then you might also have house wren. Both of these species will nest in cavities. So if you put out wren houses, you might get either. But the house wrens are also very vocal. They're not here right now, but if you're down south, more in the Carolinas or south of the Carolinas, you might just still be getting house wrens in your yard. They don't have that bright white eye stripe that the Carolina wren does. You can see that they're not as reddish brown in color. And they do have a pretty short tail, and they have a pale colored throat, and they have a lot of barring on their wings and tail. So they do look quite a bit different than the Carolina wren. So Carolina wren will be here all winter long, but the house wren has gone south for the winter, but they'll come back in the spring. And if you have wren houses out, this is most likely the wren you'll get in that house, but the Carolina wrens are cavity nesters too, so you could get them also. Another type of wren to be on the lookout for, though, not necessarily at your feeders, but if you're out birding, if you're out hiking, is the winter wren. So like its name suggests, it comes here for the winter. It's smaller than the Carolina wren and the house wren, and it is usually described as a plump round ball with a stubby tail. So little wren. It does have that eye stripe, but it's not as distinct as the Carolina wren has. So the Carolina wren has that really white eyebrow. But the winter wren, while it has that eyebrow, it's not as pronounced. So the winter wrens are around. And then again, more in the warmer months when there is more open water, we also have what's called a marsh wren, which can be found in marshes, perched on cattails. and they have a rusty brown color with white streaks on their back. They have a round body with a short tail and pale, unstreaked underparts. Not a bird you're likely to see now in the wintertime, but we do get them in the spring and summer months. So the two you're most likely to see right now are going to be the winter wren, if you're out birding, and then the Carolina wren at your feeders. So some wren diversity there that we have. But if you also are seeing some different brownish colored birds at your feeder, it could be some of these sparrows that are here for the winter time and will be here during migration season as they're making seasonal movements. But people are definitely reporting white-throated sparrow at their feeder. They have a long tail, a small bill, and most of them have a very distinctive white throat patch. They also will have a yellow spot between their eye and their bill. So look for these at and underneath your feeders. The white-throated sparrow, I've been getting them in my backyard at my feeders on the ground. Song sparrow, there's been also lots of song sparrow reported. Not your most common backyard bird, but if food is scarce, you might see them hopping around on the ground in a mixed flock with other birds. They have a lot of streaking on their breast, which usually will also include a black dot on their breast. You can kind of see that here in the picture. They do have a nice little mustache stripe right here on their face. And in the spring, they sing like crazy. They also have a pretty long tail comparatively to other sparrows too, but lots of streaking and striping on the song sparrow. And another type of sparrow that comes down here for the wintertime is going to be the American tree sparrow. You might see these guys at your feeders. They have that rusty cap and they have that rusty line that goes through their eye. They have what's called a bicolored bill. The top part of their bill is black, the bottom part is yellow, and they don't have much streaking on them. So that is the American tree sparrow. And also, if you're by water, if you are by open water, sometimes swamp sparrow people get, and they have a grayish face and collar, and they have more of a rusty dark cap on their head, a dark line that goes through their eye, which is going to be darker than the tree sparrow, and they're very reddish brown in color. So this is going to be a bird you'll find more by the water, but you might just happen upon it. And then the most common sparrow you'll get at your bird feeders, as far as one that's coming down here for the winter, is going to be the dark-eyed junco, which is in the sparrow family. They are overall very gray in color with that pink bill, dark eye, and a white belly. Other things people are seeing, we had these photos sent in by Mark J of some of the birds he has come across, and these are some common backyard birds that you might see at your feeders this winter. Things like downy woodpecker, and then also the red-bellied woodpecker. This is a great photo here. You can see the tongue of the red-bellied woodpecker coming out of the bill. This is a female red-bellied woodpecker because she doesn't have the red that goes totally over her head. It is not stretching from her bill to the back of her head. There is that gray patch on the top of her head. So that is how you know you've got yourself a female red-bellied woodpecker. Here's another picture of the female red-bellied woodpecker. If you have a red-bellied woodpecker that has red that goes from its bill all the way back to the back of its head, that's going to be a male red-bellied woodpecker. So the downy woodpeckers are going to be here all winter long. We have them all year long. Same as the red-bellied woodpeckers, the hairy woodpeckers, the flickers, the pileated woodpeckers. So you can get a really good woodpecker diversity at your bird feeders all winter long and all year long. Tufted titmouse, you might see these in a mixed flock with chickadees or nuthatches. They like sunflower seed. They love peanuts, and there's definitely lots of them around. So this is the tufted titmouse. And then blue jays. Blue jays absolutely love peanuts. If you're trying to attract blue jays, they like the peanut pickouts, but they really love the peanuts in the shell, like this blue jay has right here. So big flocks of blue jays have been seen in certain people's yards, all coming together to feast on things like sunflower seed and especially peanuts. And then here's a northern cardinal, another gorgeous bird that we have here all all year round. And when there is a background of snow, there's nothing that's much more beautiful than the bright red cardinal in the snow. So this is the male, and then of course the female, which we have all year round. And some people get big flocks of them in the winter when they're less territorial with one another. They do tend to form pretty large flocks. So you might have more cardinals now in the wintertime than you will in the spring when they start to they start to get more competitive. They're starting to compete for mates. So during that time, they kind of disperse from one another. But right now, you might come across a nice flock of the cardinal. So it looks like there are some people on here. Let's see, Steel Monkey is on. It says, had my first snowfall the other day, and I'm just starting to see cardinals come around now. Still no juncos. You carry so many wonderful products in your store. I was curious, what's your best seller? Oh gosh, I guess it depends on what category you're talking about. If you're talking about bird feeders, that will attract some of these birds to your backyard. Our best sellers are the Squirrel Buster feeders. Those work so well at attracting birds, and they keep the squirrels away. So those are some of that's definitely our top selling line of bird feeders. As far as our seed goes, our chickadee blend, you can't get anything better than our chickadee blend. There's something for any kind of songbird that's going to come to a bird feeder that is in that blend. So the chickadee blend is really great. Steel Monkey says, also the binoculars I'm using are 7x35. I was wondering what the next step up would be and if there would be a big difference. Thank you and have a nice holiday, my BFF. Thank you for that. And if you're going to do an upgrade from the 7x35, I would do probably an 8x42 binocular. That will give you a little bit more magnification. And then if you wanted even more magnification, you could also do a 10x42 binocular, which will give you more magnification, but not as big of a field of view. So you won't be able to see as much in your viewing area when you're looking through the binoculars, but things will look a little bit closer. So most birders, I would say, go with an 8x42 binocular, and we still do have some specials going on those binoculars, especially the Nikon binoculars. We do have some on special still on our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. If you're looking for an upgrade on your binoculars, we do have quite a few available on the site. Let's see. What is this? Tweetin Tifada, I'm not saying that right, I'm sure, is saying the wrens love mealworms. Yes, they do. A lot of birds will eat the mealworms, and wrens are definitely one of them. The woodpeckers like the mealworms. In the spring and in the summer, when a lot of the birds are feeding their young insects, they will go for the mealworms and feed them to their babies and eat them themselves. Some birds will switch more to seed and a fruit diet in the wintertime, but if there are mealworms available in your seed mixes or at your feeders, they will definitely eat them even in the wintertime. And one thing you can do is, if you don't want to give live mealworms, if it's too cold out, those live mealworms can freeze and die. You can always feed freeze-dried mealworms to your birds, and you can mix that in your seed mix, or you can offer those in just a little cup feeder separate from your other seed options. But yeah, mealworms are great for the wrens, and other birds will go for them too, even in the winter months. So it looks like that's everybody's comments and questions for the day. We'll be back live on Saturday with another broadcast. Every day we're getting closer to Christmas. We are getting busier and busier, so definitely stop on by. We still have lots of fun stuff for you here at the store. And if you are local, on Saturday we are having a tasting with John John's Bakery. They'll be having their world famous peanut butter balls here, which we also sell. And so that should be a fun time. They're going to be here from 10 to 1. So that is this Saturday. So stop on by if you're around. Those are very, very delicious. And until Saturday, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.